Welcome to the podcast. My name is Jamie Knight, and I'm a realtor with Real Broker here in Cajun Country, Lafayette, Louisiana. The goal of this podcast is to provide massive value by bringing insider access to our area's top agents and find out how they've been able to achieve massive success in their business. My hope is that you take away a few things from their experiences to grow your own business. My guest today is Houma Thibodeau agent Angelle Duplantis. Angelle is a top producer who loves on her sphere and does a nice production every year from her clients' referrals. Welcome to the podcast, Angelle.
Thanks for having me, Jamie.
All right. I'm so excited to hear your story, and I'm so excited that you came down to visit with us in Lafayette, Louisiana. I think you were doing some shopping or something right here.
Yes, I was doing shopping before coming.
There you go. Yeah. So I'm so glad to be able to sit in the same room with you at our office here in Lafayette and kind of hear your story. So let's start off by how you got into the real estate business. Tell us kind of how you got here and where you are.
Sure. So I got into real estate in the fourth quarter of 2016 and really got into real estate just to kind of do it part-time. I had a full-time gig. I had been there for several years. I was doing marketing and sales for a fine jewelry store.
Okay.
And our second was about to be starting school. So, we wanted to just kind of add another stream of income. So started real estate and honestly just fell in love with it. Really took off. I never planned to leave my full-time job that I had. I loved doing the marketing. I loved jewelry. It was a great job to have, honestly. And I still miss it sometimes,
right.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Every day was a happy day, engagements and anniversaries and things like that. But in 2020, I decided that I really needed to make the cut. I was wife, mom, and, having two professional careers, it was just a little bit too much.
Gotcha. You had to focus. So what did you do after you made the decision to go all in? What did you do after that?
So I made the decision to go all in January 5th of 2020. And I had, of course, big plans until COVID happened. Kind of scared everybody, right? Who would have known that would have been my biggest and best year, honestly. Getting out of doing the two careers at once. And honestly, I was doing great being a part-time agent. And jumping into full-time real estate during COVID was somewhat of a challenge. But honestly, it was really cool to just, dive headfirst. And that was a great year, honestly, in real estate for a lot of people.
Right.
So I think that what seemed like could have been tragedy ended up being great.
Gotcha. And you had talked to me a little bit about some life coaching and stuff like that. So talk to us a little bit about that because you picked that up pretty quickly.
Yeah. So 2020, like I said, was so far, that was my biggest year in production. And ended up in the company. I think I was second in my company that year. Yeah. So it was, all these great things happening. I was super busy, top of the company. And I was really kind of just sitting back and wondering why I wasn't as happy as I felt like I should have been. So I got some life coaching and honestly, it really propelled me in my business and personally, because I realized it wasn't numbers that was what was leading me to real estate. It was connecting with people, truthfully.
Gotcha. Okay.
So kind of breaking down truly what I valued so that I could, sometimes they say you need to slow down to speed up.
Right.
So 2021 was my slowdown year, which I know was a really big year for most realtors. And it was still a great year for me. But I really took that time to slow down so that I could see, okay, what do I truly want to accomplish with real estate? And that truth for me was serving people, serving families. So I was able to jump into 2022 and just kind of really soar both professionally and personally.
Nice. I love that. And you hear a lot of people who get into real estate for money and they get into it for the wrong reasons. And then ultimately they figure out, hey, this is not about money. This is about people. So,
yes.
and I'm glad that you figured out that early in your career because doing all those transactions, that doesn't necessarily make you happy or you get a level of, like appreciation from the company and from your peers from doing that, but it's still, that's not making you happy.
Exactly.
And making all that money is not going to make you happy unless you feel like you're doing a good thing.
Right. And it was another agent, honestly, that whole year, I didn't even know where my production was. At the time, I didn't have a business coach. So I just knew I was selling houses, helping families. And it wasn't until another colleague of mine said, "Oh man, you just passed me up. What are you doing?" And it wasn't until then that I realized, oh, okay.
I'm actually doing something.
Yeah, I was like, oh, wow, okay. I didn't realize that I was selling that many houses, because I really just at that time felt like I was helping people. But then I'm sure, like most people that are in a sales position, tend to be competitive. Of course, I wanted to stay there. So that's kind of where it took the fun away, because really and truly, while yes, I think we all have a little competitive spirit to us, that wasn't what really brought me joy. What brought me joy was helping families.
Nice. I love that. Yeah. So you also took that and you did a level of like real estate coaching as well too, right? When did that happen?
Yes. So 2021 was my slowdown year. 2022 picked back up for me. And again, that was by choice, kind of slowing down and then speeding up. And so 2022 was a great year, and we were coming to the fall of 2022, and I personally could see that there were going to be some shifts in the market. The interest rates had already started to go up a little, and I did not want to be left by the wayside, and I did not want to, I don't know how to explain. Most of my business was lead received, and so I wanted to kind of make that turn of actually treating my business like a business.
Right.
And so, I was an employee for 14 years prior to that, to the company that I worked for. And it's really easy to get sucked into more of an employee mindset. And you really have to make that change when you get into real estate to have that business owner cap on. And so I knew that I needed some help in that regard. And so I hired a business coach, and I'm still with her. So we just made 2 years in October. And she really keeps me on track, keeps me thinking forward. And it has been a huge success for me. I know last year and this year have been down years for some agents. And this year is actually, I'm on target to beat my 2020 year.
Nice. Yeah. That's awesome. Congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah. So what kind of things are you taking away? You talked about running it like a business, but what other things did you take away from your coach? Like what other things is she kind of helping you with?
So follow-up. Follow-up's the biggest thing. I keep track of everyone I speak to and break it down to, buying needs, selling needs, and really just leveling up the business side and leveling up the client
the experience side of it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yes. Just really pushing me to be a better me, honestly.
Yeah, I love that.
And she's not, she is a business coach, but she also is, okay, you're getting busy right now. This year I had a point where I was really, really, swamped. And she said, how are you feeling? I know, last time you wanted to retreat and it kind of made you a little stressed. And honestly, I think that once you build the capacity to kind of handle larger levels of stress, then it really didn't bother me. And so she's like, okay, that's great. I'm glad to know that you're doing more business and you're not feeling more stressed.
Yeah.
So kind of worked. I'm glad that I took that time to slow down so that I could speed up and be less stressed.
I gotcha. Yeah, because you hear a lot of people just get burnt out with the deals. They just keep running, and they do more, and the client experience gets worse.
Correct.
Because they're doing more. Mm-hmm. I've heard many times on the podcast where they're like, hey, the first person that dealt with me, I didn't have anything else going on, got the best of me. They got the best of everything that I had in the transaction. But the fifth person that was under contract didn't get the best of what I had as a realtor. So what kind of ways are you kind of managing that? If you've got multiple transactions going on at the same time, like how are you managing the experience side of this thing?
Right. So setting expectations at the beginning for sure is huge for me. I like to let them know from the get-go how many days on market their home is showing. I do primarily listings. So I'm always very upfront and honest about expectations throughout the process. And I think that getting into the business, newer agents maybe forget to set those expectations. And maybe it's because they just haven't been through the experience yet.
Right.
But setting those expectations in the beginning really, if I call to check in with them weekly like I like to do, they're like, oh, no worries, Angelle. We know you told us this from the beginning. It's only 20 days in, the average days on market were 120, so just kind of setting those expectations in the beginning helps the client experience, in my opinion, throughout.
Yeah, because then they can be comfortable, they can be comfortable with the patience side of it.
They're set up with the knowledge, right? So that they're not sitting just guessing.
Yeah. Or,
what's wrong, wondering what's going on.
Or texting you, calling you, Angelle, what's going on? What are you doing? You could be like, hey, look, the average house in this area sells in 120 days.
Right.
So we're at day number 60 right now.
Absolutely.
So, we still got some ways to go. Talk to us, I guess, a little bit, because you guys are having the similar struggles to us down in your community, right? We're having some serious struggles with insurance. So talk to us a little bit about the struggles that y'all are having there in the Houma Thibodaux area.
Yes, insurance is definitely the largest struggle. And I know that's most of South Louisiana, or really all the Gulf states at the moment. And truly, it's affecting, in my personal opinion, the amount that the client can spend.
Right.
Because before, a house that was, let's say, built in 1970 and cost $200,000, that home, because of the insurance, is more expensive monthly for the buyer than a brand new construction at $300,000.
Right.
So I'm seeing an uptick in new construction personally. And, it is making it harder, but with concession allowances, things of that nature, homes are getting sold.
Yeah, you got to get creative.
You have to get creative, exactly.
Yeah, to be able to get it going. But I'm the same way. I'm seeing new construction as being one of the hottest sectors in the market right now, because the insurance policies, I'm comparing them, like one of them's $1,200, the other one's $3,500.
Yes.
And even like you said, if you got to pay more in the sales price, if you can pay less than the insurance cost, the math per month is the same.
Exactly.
Which is totally crazy.
I just had a client that went under contract. The homeowner's policy was, I think, $3,500, and the flood policy was $4,000.
Gotcha.
So when you think over $7,000 just in insurance.
Yeah, it's like $700 a month.
Exactly. So your sales price really needs to reflect what that buyer is potentially going to have to be making up for it in insurance.
Yeah. And man, what I don't like is sometimes those flood policies, it's just because it's $4,000 this year doesn't mean that next year it wouldn't be $12,000.
That's right.
It's crazy, so you feel for these people with insurance. And I know people in Florida who are listening right now, and I know people in other coastal communities are like, man, we're struggling. We hear you. We hear what you're talking about.
Absolutely. The worst phone call that I think I received was right after they changed the flood maps in our parish.
Gotcha.
They could no longer afford their house note.
Yeah.
And that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, you hate to see that for people because there's nothing you can do. And I know I'm like that. I was like, let me go fix it. Let me go to fix it. Like, how can I fix it? But the facts is that flood insurance is not even something that you can shop, right? You get one option, right?
Exactly. You can do a base policy and have no contents, and you can kind of strip the policy.
Yeah.
There, I don't know if y'all have done a lot of this here, but you can apply for a LOMA, a letter of map amendment.
Right.
Have y'all done that
here?
Yeah,
we've done a lot of those, yeah.
But it's getting even harder now because it's not just the elevation, it's proximity to water. And so that's been our biggest issue, our biggest hurdle.
Gotcha. And one thing I talk about too on the podcast is a lot of these communities are just being punished because their parish hits the Gulf of Mexico.
Right.
So you got parishes around our area that you might be 40, 50 miles inland, and you're getting punished because that small sliver of the parish hit the Gulf of Mexico from some random way. So what's happening is these companies are just punishing them because they hit the Gulf. I'm sure that's what's happening probably in y'all's areas. Like any of the areas that hit the Gulf are probably higher typically than...
Terrebonne and Lafourche definitely hit the Gulf.
Yeah. So all of those, they're just getting punished with the cost of insurance, which is crazy because you want people to be able to buy in your community, and then you want people to be able to sell in their community too. So when you got these situations, it's just, you feel for these people.
Absolutely.
It's crazy,
And even, succession properties, when you think about the fact that, someone's trying to sell their parents' or grandparents' home and they never had a flood policy because they didn't have to. The house was paid off. And now they're going to sell it and the flood policy is $8,000.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
Yeah, we definitely need some help here in Louisiana. If anybody's listening that can help us, but most of them are just realtors, so we can't probably do much to help. But anyway, let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about some of the special things that you do for your clients, because we talked about client appreciation and gifts. So tell us a little bit about that. What are you doing for your clients to kind of make that experience special?
Yeah, so throughout the year, I do like to do gifts and just kind of honor my sphere, reach out to them, even if it's just a phone call. But I do usually at Easter time, drop off some kind of goodie bag. Christmas, I'll either do goodies, or for the people who purchase in that year, I typically do cookie decorating kits. I sell to a lot of families with children. So I've done that. This past week, I actually did an exclusive Christmas shopping experience at a local holiday store.
Cute.
Yeah, and I have sent snowball gift cards. We were talking about that earlier. So at the end of the school year, I sent most of my clients children. I address it to the children. Just congratulations on a great year. Keep working hard, and big things are possible, with a $3 snowball gift card. So just little things throughout the year. I also do coffee. So I do send coffee once a year on National Coffee Day. And it just says something to the effect of, coffee and referrals keep my business running. And just a thank you. Thank you for referring my name and coffee on me for the day.
Yeah, I like that. And you had told me a little bit about how you set that up, right? It was if they actually used the link, then you were charged for it.
That's
versus
correct.
Just buying all these gift cards and then you didn't know if they would ever use it or not.
Exactly. It may get tossed in the trash. It may get lost, obviously on accident. But this way it enables them to kind of have a more quick response. So I let them know in the text message that they can show the barcode to the barista within the next 24 hours. And that way it kind of gives a little sense of urgency to get there and use it. And, we were mentioning the first year, a few people use it. The second year, it kind of grows every year. So last year, I think we had over $400, or I had over $400 worth of Starbucks, money spent.
So it just charges them for whatever they order.
Correct. It charges
I like
me.
that. We like to support a local coffee shop too. Here locally, we use Jet Coffee a lot.
Yes, Jet's great.
We send them. But I love that, the ability to just whatever you guys want versus like having a gift card that like might be for $25 and then they use $5 of it or whatever. And this is cool because then you can probably see, I'm imagining on this link, who used it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And they usually post on Facebook, thank you, Angelle Duplantis, realtor, for gifting me my coffee today,
Yeah, so, I love that. Yeah, just finding those little niches, those little ways, those little creative ways that you can do a pop by or just a connection. I just love that about it because, that's something that you've shined with, just hearing your story about gifting and giving back to the community. And that's huge. Mm. Is there anything else that you do in the community too, that maybe we didn't touch on yet?
Yes. So I was a Girls on the Run coach for several years. And after I stopped coaching, I was a member of the board for Girls on the Run. We teach girls how to be healthy, happy, and confident. And basically it is for girls in 3rd through 5th grade.
Okay.
It's an after school curricular that they can do it at their schools. I don't know if that's a big thing in Lafayette or not.
No, we don't have anything like that, but that's a great idea.
Yeah. And so there is about 45 minutes of a different curriculum every meeting, and then we end it with 20 minutes of running. So we try to incorporate, life lessons, teaching girls how to be happy, healthy, confident, good friends, nutrition, things of that sort, and then also incorporate running. And at the end of the season, it's typically a 12-week season. At the end of the season, they run a 5K.
Gotcha.
And so I was a coach for several years, absolutely loved it. And then became a member of the board. And so I actually just stepped down from being a member of the board, but it was definitely very fruitful and enjoyed that so much.
That's awesome. Yeah. So tell us about the family too. You have a couple kids and what are they into right now?
Yeah. So my husband and I, we've been married, it's about to be 19 years, and we have a 14-year-old boy. He's in the 8th grade, and we have a 10-year-old daughter, both big into sports. My husband is a high school coach and teacher. And so typically if I'm not selling real estate, then I'm running after the kids. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, that's awesome. Yeah. So, well, look, what we're going to do too is we're going to kind of talk about, I ask this on every podcast almost, but we have a lot of agents who are listening that are looking to us for leadership and guidance and whatnot. But if there's an agent who's listening to this thing and they may be struggling right now in 2024, or a brand new agent that doesn't know everything, what might you tell, what words of encouragement might you give them to kind of jumpstart their year or help them finish strong?
Absolutely. So I think that it's really important to just remember that doing 1% more than you did the day before. I just recently had a conversation with an agent in my region that if she really just spent 10 minutes on the business, whether that's 10 minutes, maybe making some phone calls and calling her sphere, or 10 minutes coming up with a post to put on social media, you're going to be doing more than probably the agent next to you. Because really and truly, a lot of people just kind of sit back and wait and let things come to them. But just being just that little bit of proactive is really going to change your business.
Yeah.
One thing that I think a lot of people don't realize, but just asking for listings, something as simple as post, a couple of times a week. I'm taking listing appointments. I have some time in my schedule, and who's looking to sell either their home, their family's home, and really just asking for that appointment. And I actually did this when I wanted to get in the commercial side of real estate. I joined the LACDB, and I kind of just kept making posts geared towards being a commercial real estate agent. And it's funny how the phone starts ringing when you're letting people know that you're doing this type of business.
Right.
So for a new agent, the same thing goes for you. It's really just making sure that your sphere, whether it's picking up the phone or posting to your social media accounts, that this is what you do and that you're taking appointments, and really just let them know that you're ready to go to work.
Yeah, I love that, because definitely I do feel like putting it out in the universe
Yes.
is a huge thing.
Absolutely.
Because buyers and sellers, and they just need leadership right now.
Absolutely.
They need somebody to that's the leader, that's you hate to say in charge, but that takes charge. And hey, I need some leadership here. I need to sell my house. I don't do this every day. You do this every day.
Right.
I need you to take control, and let's do this. So I do that a lot, where it's like, okay, let's do this. Here's the plan. Boom, boom,
Yes.
boom, boom, boom. Let's do it. Exactly.
So especially for new agents, right now, certain new construction companies are offering these great incentives and interest rates. So that is an amazing way to pick up the phone and make some phone calls. Even if you're a seasoned agent and you're just going through a slow moment, call the people that you've sold those homes to and say, hey, do you have any friends or family that have been at your house and love it and would maybe want to buy new construction also? And then let them know what the incentives are and ask for their phone number. A lot of times they will definitely give you a name or say, oh yeah, I'll have my friend call you. And it really does work, and it does happen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, I'm a big fan of telling a new agent to pick up the phone. I like the social media thing. I feel like they have that advantage now with social media, because there are so many people on there. But I always like telling new agents, get on the phone.
Be comfortable talking to people. Absolutely.
Because anybody can post on social media. Anybody can do a cute little social media post and a silly video or whatever. But pick up the phone and make a few calls. I have an agent who I'm mentoring here at Real, and I had him do an open house for me on a brand new listing that I had. And I showed him, I said, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to call the neighborhood, and we're going to generate some leads, and we're going to try to get you some people to show up to your open house, right? So I called literally the guy next door to this house that I have listed. Mm-hmm. And they're like, man, I'm so glad you called. We're going to be listing this house in the spring or whatever. And I'm like, dang, you see, dude, look, there you go. And I had a great conversation with them.
Yes.
And said, hey, look, I'd love to come by the house when I'm in that area. I'll give you my opinion on the house. I'll let you know how much your house might be worth in today's market. And I'll keep you up to date on this house that's selling next door to you.
That's
and
awesome.
I'd love for you to come to the open house that we have Saturday from 1 to 3. And I'd love for, if you know of anybody else that wants to be a neighbor, you want to pick your neighbor,
right?
We'd love your help to do that. And like, we, in that one little hour call session, we generated so much business around that open house. I was like, I love that.
Yeah,
like,
it's so amazing.
Pick up the phone, call people, because I'm cautious to tell people, yes, I love social media in the sense of the power of the reach that it has. But I guess the only part that I don't really care for it about is it's just kind of the easy thing to do.
It's very surface level. I tell my colleagues, even if they just got a job promotion or a birthday, pick up the phone and call them. You can obviously comment, and that's great, but you get so much further and just create that deeper connection making a phone call. Even text message. You can text them on the side, and it's a step further than social media, right?
Right.
But that phone call means so much more. I recently contacted a client who built their forever home, and we developed a friendship, obviously. So she received a promotion, and I said, "Oh, I need to send her a text and tell her congratulations because it was so amazing." And I said, "You know what? No, I'm gonna call her."
Yeah, I love that.
So we chat. It had been a couple of months since we had last spoken, and she starts to say, "Well, I don't know if our forever home's really that forever."
Wow.
And so it's something that had I not picked up the phone and called, we wouldn't have even had that conversation. If I sent, a social media message,
right,
it would have just,
it would have been another
thank you,
60
done.
people, who
exactly.
did that before her.
If I would have texted her, yes, it would have been the next level, but we wouldn't have gotten to the level of conversation that we got to if I wouldn't have picked up the phone and called her.
Yeah, because all of this is about conversation, and this is the whole thing with the podcast. It's about conversation, having a conversation, being in the same room with Angelle, who's doing great things and giving me great ideas, and sharing her great ideas with realtors around the nation who are listening to this thing. So I love that conversation. Yeah, Angelle could have probably sent a text or wrote up a Microsoft Word file that said exactly what she did and everything else. But the facts is nobody's going to read all of that.
No, exactly.
Like, we have to hear it. We have to see how it applies to our business. How's it working for Angelle? How is she growing her business? I'm like, that's how we grow as realtors, is in conversation with other realtors, in conversation with our clients, growing our business,
yes.
Being in front of them, being everything to them. And I love that you're the type that picks up the phone, because not everybody picks up the phone, but I tell you who does. The top producers pick up the phone.
Yes.
Those of us who are top producers and realtors who are looking to grow their business, if you listen to every single podcast, somebody's going to say, pick up the phone, or somebody's going to say, hey, turn your phone around, make a quick video, send them a video message so they can see your face and smile and everything else.
And I think back a lot of times I had a friend who was, I forgot what she was selling exactly, but we all lead busy lives, and she must have called me 10 times to ask for me, to do the service. And I wanted to do the service. I can't remember exactly what company she was with. And finally, on the 10th time, I said, let's schedule an appointment. The other 9 times, it's not that I didn't want to. I told her, hey, keep calling me. I'm just busy right now. We're gonna get around to it. And so I heard something recently, and it was on a real estate podcast, and it basically said the first 3 phone calls, or people typically, I forgot what the percentages were, but like so much of a percentage makes 1 phone call, and then like 10% makes the second phone call.
Right.
And typically the 3rd and 4th phone call,
or minuscule percentages. Yeah.
Right. But the 3rd, 4th, and 5th phone call is typically when you make the sale.
Right.
And so, it's getting out of your own head to say, oh, well, if they don't answer, I'm going to call back. Or typically when they do answer and you have the conversation, it's great conversation. Maybe it just isn't the right time.
Right.
One of my last listings, I think I went on the listing appointment I think it was November of last year. And they were finally ready. So it's not always about right now. It's about having good quality conversations, because they're going to be ready eventually.
Yeah.
Whether you're selling a product or you're trying to sell a house, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the idea of just the genuine connections that you have with people, and not just about the house itself. And you hear
Correct.
that multiple people have talked about that on the podcast, of like, yes, make that connection, but it doesn't always have to be like, hey, how's the house? Or, hey, by the way, send me some real estate business. It's just the conversation. Hey, how's the kids? Hey, you notice so-and-so's birthday, or, man, how's the new puppy, or whatever it is. Just talk about those things that are genuine and leave it at that.
Right.
I mean, I've even had people too who are like, yeah, well, what about real estate? I'm like, man, that's not even why I'm calling. I'm just kind of seeing how you doing, know, because I don't, I'm fine. But
so you're probably like me, just a big people person.
Yeah, just a big people, bro. I'm not. I heard in a couple podcasts back, Make Those Calls, Scott Gaspard in Baton Rouge. He said basically he did not want to taint the call with an ask of business. So if he got the response like a thank you, at that point he would say, here's what you could do for me.
Right.
But he said he would just make the calls, ask how the kids are, boom, leave it at that. Never ask, hey, send me some real estate business. So it was just about the relationship that you're building through conversation with your clients, and keeping that going
Absolutely.
over the course of their entire lives. And then you become that referral agent, like you are a strong referral agent. And I think that's because you continue to make those calls and be in front of them and having those conversations, not necessarily about real estate, but the natural progression is that they're going to call you about their real estate. They know you're a realtor.
Right. Oh, yeah. They know I'm a realtor. And it's 100% a relationship business for sure. You're going to want to do business with something so, a home is so intimate. You're going to want to do business with somebody you know and trust, not just pick up a phone and call, a random person.
Yeah.
You really want to make sure that, I have clients that, share so many special things with me. And, really and truly, I'm just appreciative to get to be on that journey with them.
Yeah.
Whether they're sizing down or they're expanding their family and needing a larger home. I just think it's such a special thing that we get to be a part of.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And that's a great place to kind of leave us for sure. So, Angelle, I appreciate you coming down here and getting to be in the same room as you is awesome. And I love your story and your vibe and following you on social media for a while. And I appreciate you. It's so nice that we got to kind of connect on the podcast. So I appreciate you coming down.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, guys, please leave us a positive review. Please, share our podcast. We're just trying to bring a lot of value to realtors across the South. And I hope that you guys are enjoying it. And I hope that you guys have an amazing day.